So I thought it'd be worth having a look at different types of wire stripper you can get, and basically what I would consider to be the best. I've got 4 different types here. So we've got a sort of standard adjustable, you see how tight they are, don't get used much, wire stripper. I don't really rate these, but we'll do a test with them. Automatic wire stripper. These aren't too bad, but recently I found they're not great on XLPE, and this is a STANLEY FATMAX wire stripper. You've got the Knipex wire stripper that's got these different grooves, and then tells you 2.5mm, put it in there. And then we've got these new CK snips, which one of my colleagues recommended to me and said it was very good. And I tried it, to be honest, and I quite like the idea that you've got a wire snipper and stripper in one tool. Just means you haven't got to carry loads of different things. So basically you can keep this in one hand and do all the work you need to do. So yeah, if we go to sort of traditional old ones, risk with these is you basically, well, you set it to the cable you're working on. So this one's actually seized up, but the risk is if you don't set it correctly, then you can end up damaging the cable. So let's have a look at this. Oh, well, that it's not doing a good job of snipping that. There you go. And that isn't actually too bad, but it's damaged just on the top surface of the cores. But you can end up, when you use these quite often, damaging the cores on the insulation, which is never a good thing. Like, you don't really want to be damaging them. Probably a bit unfair with these. Like you can, these are so seized up, I should probably actually just throw them in the bin. You can get these to work by adjusting the screw and then locking it into the right position, but then when you're dealing with different thicknesses of cable, so every time if you're doing 2.5, then suddenly you go to 4, you've got to adjust this, and then you risk again when you're doing 4mm cable damaging the cores until you find that sweet spot. So if we move on to the automatic style wire strippers, these can be temperamental based on the type of insulation you're working with. So an example is I was terminating XLPE cable. I think it was XLPE insulated steel wire armour cable, and this was just grazing off the cable, wasn't actually cutting it. But with this type of insulation, you'll see, just put it like that, done. No damage to the cores. You know, that's spot on. They wear out over time. If you did, I mean, I'm talking a lot of times where they wear out, probably several thousand. But it is a good option. I'd never use it for crimping. Yeah, just ignore that feature because you'll get the worst crimp in the world. It's not something I'd want to trust, you know, of any sort of current going through it. Maybe for a bit of automotive wire, but I'd always buy a traditional ratchet crimper. So yeah, they're not too bad. Knipex tool's not bad. It's just that it's a bit, you know, it's a bit fiddly. There you go. No cores damaged. But then again, you need two tools. And then these CK snips, if I say I want it like that, there you go. Just ever so slightly marked the cores. Now where these, it takes a bit of time to get used to them. First time I used them, I kept damaging the cores. You basically just tighten it up a bit till you can feel it's cut the insulation. Obviously it's a bit awkward me trying to do this on camera because I'm trying to not yank the table all over the place as I pull it. I've just ever so slightly just grazed them, but no real damage on them. Not like, say, these. And like I said, I really like the idea of this. Imagine you're on a fuse board, you're doing the wiring, you cut it to the size you want, and then you're going to put it in your MCB. You can just do that. There you go, done. You're not swapping tools all the time. You're just using one tool. Like I said, my colleague recommended these CK snips. I really rate them. My personal preference, if I think about what I use in my daily work, is if I order them, I rate the CK first now. I just really like it. It takes a while to get used to it because you can damage the cable. The automatic ones are great. So definitely would come second, but then there's the downside of the fact that occasionally on some insulation it won't work. And then you've got the Knipex tool, which is another great tool, and it does other things like strips larger cable, so you can use it for meter towels and stuff like that. And then I'd say last would be the manually adjusted ones. I don't really think anyone should be using these now. There's too much risk of you damaging cores with it. You're far better off with the automatic one if you're like a DIYer, and if you're a pro, I'd say I'd much rather have this, because look, easy. I can feel the copper underneath. There's no risk of me damaging it, and there you go, perfectly stripped. And I'm not having to change tools. That tool just stays in my hand. I use it, does the job. So yeah, that's my general opinion. I know obviously these tools, just to organise them in price, I'd imagine probably be the CK, then the Knipex, then the automatic, and then this thing is dirt cheap. CK, obviously they'll go blunt over time. I can't imagine you can get it redone. It's probably a hardened jaw, so it should last a good few years. And then you've got these ones. Doesn't look like you can replace the blades in here. I might be wrong, but it doesn't look like you can do it. But if you're in a bind, it's a brilliant tool because it's light, not heavy. It just sits in your tool bag, and then if you're desperate, you've got some strippers. Automatic ones, great. There's loads of different versions of these. This is the STANLEY FATMAX, which I actually quite rate. It's a good tool. You've got adjustment. You can set it to the length of cable you're doing, so you can set it to that if you wanted. You only want to strip that much, and then full distance. I tend to put it on full distance and then strip it, and then if I need to shorten it, just shorten it after. It's not the end of the world. Say we're doing the same brand of MCBs every time, you could just set that to whatever it is, and then you know every time you're cutting it perfectly to fit in the MCB. No risk of you clamping down on the insulation. And these should be confined to the bin. Do not use these. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's just a rough guide on different types of cable strippers you can get hold of, and the pros and cons of each one. DIY, probably go with that one. Electrician definitely uses something like that. Well, in my opinion, they'd use something like that. And the Knipex again is an electrician's tool. Both quite expensive. This is pretty affordable. Do not use the crimping function on these. They're rubbish, and it has got a wire cutter blade there. Don't use that, it's rubbish as well. It squashes the cable and then it makes it harder to strip it later. So yeah, like I said, there's my opinion on the various different ones. Thanks for your time. Make sure you like and subscribe.